Sup. TB is in the house. Wyatt Fraser is in the house. Fuck yeah. You guys are Earl soldiers. What was your dinner? Well, that's a little personal, Casey. Do you believe in hunting seasons? I hunt all year long. I bet you do. Question is, what do you hunt for? I'm gonna guess pussy. But I hope whatever you hunt for, you get. You're in trouble. I mean, I like Eddie Trunk. Not as a person, but he, he supports a genre of music that very few people do. So, what up, Jenna? We got a couple mods in the house. So, not that much Dabbleverse going live right now. So, you guys are pretty much stuck with me. And that's either a good thing or a bad thing. But I welcome you guys. What up? What up? Big B, South Philly, 215. I believe that you might be a new person in here, so please hit the subscribe button. My hair is looking fly, baby. How dare you? Pac Dixon just went live. Well, I'm going to stop the stream. No, I like Pat, but I got to go live when I got to go live. So there you go. I was not, Wyatt. I was not. I've been on Kill Tony 6 times, to be honest with you. 2 times as the Iron Patriot. You have to be a real OG fan of the show to understand the significance of that. And then I was on 4 episodes. I think one time was with Mike Lawrence, another time with Michael Costa, another time with Jim Norton and Sam Roberts, and one other time. So, well, Shane, I'd love to see what you look like. Yes, don't be a dick in here. That is the #1 rule. What up, Vicus? I see we got some new people in the stream. I love it. New subscriptions make the YouTube stream world go round and round. What up, Ramble? Let me see your picture. Let me take a look at your picture. Yes, I am calling John Goodman ugly. From Los Angeles, California. I don't know, TB. I don't know. What up, FPC? Well, we don't use my stream as a job application form. I wish I was Mark Ruffalo. I'd have more than 18 people in here. But welcome to the Earlverse. This might be a 20-minute stream. It might be an hour stream. It might be a 2-hour stream. I might end the stream in 2 minutes. That's the beauty of the Earlverse. You never know what you're getting with me. But I do appreciate you guys coming in, checking me out when you have many streaming options. And I do believe I'm the only streamer who tells you what other streams are going right now. So we've got Perry Caravello with 875 people watching. That makes me want to stab myself that 8 people are watching this garbage. But, what are you going to do? The people have spoken. I mean, Shane, I see your picture. I can appreciate you putting up your real picture. It's not like you're a male model, bro. How about John Cena and Steve-O? I would accept that. I would accept that. So, yeah, fuck yeah. I get a lot of John Cena, to be honest with you. I don't see it myself. I would say the top people I get told I look like are Phil Hartman. For some reason, Philip, I look nothing like John Goodman, bro. Come on, dude. You say that one more time, I gotta put you in 24-hour timeout. I'll do a stream to 22 people. I don't give a fuck. So, I don't know what you're not joking about. Brandon Dominguez, I won't care what you say about me until you put your real photo up there. All right, you guys are just trolling now. And oh, come on, don't retract your trolls. Have the balls. Time to rewrite the zinger. But here's the thing, though. I don't read troll lines anymore. You want to troll me? That's more than acceptable. But you got to super chat me the troll. So no more reading your insults for free, baby. So at least Shane puts up his real photo. So don't tell me your mom looks like, dude. But that's acceptable, Shane. That's acceptable. Drew Carey after the weight loss. How about that? That would be acceptable. Yes, Lois has a partially collapsed trachea. It will never get better, but it will never get worse. Lois, say hello to the fans. I can accept that side. I never met Phil Hartman. I wish Lois was a puppy. She is a 15-year-old terrier. But she has put on weight lately, so she's just chilling right now. Yeah, she's a good dog. She is a great dog, that's for sure. Yes, she has been eating a lot more. I would not sell her for any amount in the world. Oh, I did not know that, TB. Thank you. She is 15 years old. We just went for a long walk, so she's a little tired. Yeah, she's a little hard of hearing, but not completely deaf. I got something riveting for you. No, I've had her since, not day one, but I've had her for a very long time. No puppies. So, um, but she's pretty good. Oh, see, she just. Whoa. She likes the hardwood floor. I have not. She actually likes the hardwood floor. And she'll lie her head down any minute. And she'll just sleep until it's time to go out for a walk again. So, thank you guys for tolerating my love of my dog. And now, back on The Real Jonathan. You look like if Jay Cutler and Arnold Schwarzenegger bore a child. I'll take that. I can accept that. Um, no, I don't want to clone her. That's not my jam. Well, Wyatt, that's a little personal, to be honest with you. I'm not going to let it out. You want my home address too? Yes, you always have to stay hydrated. With no offense, but some of you guys are hard to deal with. So I will stay hydrated and do my best to deal with you guys. Dominic told. I have not blocked anyone in the chat, so what a broody baga. That's interesting. I think you have the power, though, ACDC, to unblock them. I would find it hard to believe that anyone would be blocked. I don't block anybody. I get the Philip Seymour Hoffman thing a lot. 15, 16 years old. I did not block him. I don't block anybody. To be honest with you, I don't even know how to do it. So, um, I don't know. Might be something from his end, to be honest with you. Oh, that's awesome. Dogs are the best, they provide a lot of comfort and support, even with Lois being sick. You have to super chat me for that one, baby. I don't give that story out for free. And here's the crazy thing: Lois loves cats. Yeah, I mean, I get that Philip Seymour Hoffman thing a lot, so I can't argue it. I mean, I don't see it, to be honest with you, but uh, you know, I don't argue with the fans. What up? Selena Girl 69. Something tells me you're not a girl, but I'm just guessing. And I told you 4 times. She is 15 years old. And she might even be 16. I don't know her actual birthday, to be honest with you. So I hope that answers your question. And she will be, I did not block anyone. We don't do all caps in here. We don't do all caps in here. So, I mean, Mr. Grid, I'm going to guess I turn down more pussy than you get. So don't worry about me. I don't know what the harvest moon means. And I'm too lazy to look it up. Thank you. I love my glasses. For those of you asking, I have astigmatism in my left eye. I realize I can get it fixed with LASIK, but I like my glasses, so I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I love it. I love it, TB. Oh, that's a super chat, Richard. I have not blocked Jeff Ross. Yeah, but... oh, well, welcome aboard. I was born in 68. If I came home to relax, I definitely would not. I did see Pornhub was in the chat, so. What up, Walter White? Man, there are some unfunny people in this stream right now. But you know what? That's my dog, Lois, Luca. I let you all in. Now, we have very few rules in this stream. If you are a troll, we do the 3 chances rule. You get 3 chances to be funny in here. If you fail, and I am the judge, if you go 0 for 3, you get put in 24-hour timeout. Chronic, we don't use that kind of language in here, my man. What's my deal, buddy? Is I'm a fucking stand-up comic. I'm a fucking soldier, brother. Well, I'll see you later, Chief. I don't know, to be honest with you, how long I'm streaming. You're definitely in the wrong stream, Mr. Plant Live. No, you don't have to be funny. You can just sit and watch, or you can ask me a question about wrestling or comedy or whatever. But if you're going to troll me, which a lot of people try and they all fail, I'm just too quick. I'm too quick. And if you strike out, it's like a strikeout. You got to sit on the bench for 24 hours. You've already asked that question one more time, bro, and you're out. No spamming in here. Toughest player of hockey all time. I would probably say Joey Koser. I mean, he hurt people. I mean, Probert's a tough guy. I mean, there are a lot of tough guys. I mean, some of the goalies that played with no fucking mask. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, some people have beginner sucking stand up, and then they never get a laugh again the rest of their life. So, stand up is not easy. Yes, Rob Blake was a very tough guy. I mean, I saw him working out last summer I was getting a tour of the Kings practice facility. Thank you, Hugo. I mean, Raha Jackson was a real life MMA boxer. He went into pro wrestling, which just worked punches and whatnot. He just, most MMA fighters have trouble transitioning to pro wrestling because they're not used to pulling their punches and making it look real, but it's fake. So now Craig Cox was from Chula Vista, I think. Or yeah, Craig Cox is very tough, very very tough guy. And would you be a regular on SNL 20 years ago? I mean, I think I could. I would have been probably too old back then. I mean, I'm 57 now. They're not looking for a 37-year-old. Um, Now, I think I would kill it on Weekend Update, but I'm way too old now. Well, let me say this: when I say pro wrestling is fake, those guys and girls are still great athletes, and um, they have serious injuries. I mean, Big E broke his neck. Sid Vicious broke his leg. So no, I'm not going to fight. My Ty Domi. I was on the roast of Ric Flair with Ty Domi, and well, yeah, the drama is fake. It's a movie. Um, so yeah, but those guys still get injured very seriously, concussions, all kinds of injuries. Some have lost eyes, So I don't necessarily like saying it's fake, but I it's predetermined. But tell the Big Show it's fake to his face to see what happens. I know I've never watched Stranger Things. I'm playing street hockey tomorrow night. Ball hockey. We play in a rink. We play in an actual rink. Are you the nephew of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? I am. My dad's sister was his mama. Um, yeah, I mean, I once did stand-up comedy at an XPW wrestling show before the wrestling, and I did it in the ring, and that ring is hard, man. It's bouncy, but I don't know what the material of the mat is, but like rubberish, but it's kind of hardened. So even taking a basic body slam on that would hurt. What up, Cole C in the house? I'm not sure who Pigman is. Jesse James, the porn star. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not probably made for half the moves they do. And even the ropes are kind of like when you bounce off the ropes, you get rope burn that really hurts. Um, so I hate it when people call it fake. And sometimes they actually punch them. Like it's hard to punch and make it look fake. So sometimes the punches are real. They connect. I mean, my friend Harley Cameron, who is in AEW, she's a really talented performer. Um, I mean, beautiful, beautiful woman. She got her nose broken a couple months ago, like a legit broken nose. So, I mean, Dynamite Kid was tough. Um, my best life advice, I would say it would be don't listen to anyone who's not better off than you are. So well, yeah, Dr. D. I mean, look how and he held off on that punch. He just slapped him a little bit, and John Stossel's hearing was fucked up permanently. My best, So in other words, like for me, I'm a comic. If Jimmy Carr comes up to me and tells me how to do a joke, I'm going to listen to him. The guy plays in arenas throughout the world. If an open mic level comic comes up to me and tells me how to do a joke, I'm not going to listen to them because they're not better off than I am. So, oh yeah, back in the day, in the late '80s, early '90s, and it's the same league I'm in. Um, there were tons of fights. and the refs were like real loosey goosey with the rules. So um, the league I played in was very tough. What up, Shandy girl? Well, I mean, you got to think about it. Pro wrestlers really share a very similar lifestyle to stand-up comics in terms of the travel, the late nights, but they also have to look good. I mean, like I look good, but I don't have to look good. You know, like I'm going to go to the gym after this stream. I don't necessarily have to do it. It's not going to affect my comedy career if I'm not have a six pack or not. But in pro wrestling, the minute you put on a little weight, the minute you lose a little weight, you know, you get skinnier, not muscular. There's 10 guys behind you who'll roid and do whatever it takes to get your spot. So it's, and WWE, it's a little tougher because, you know, they also have to do house shows. You know, AEW, they don't do house shows. So you're either on Dynamite or Collision. Whoa, whoa. Um, so, you know, now uh, I think next week there's a pay per view, Wrestle Dream. So you've got um, Dynamite, Collision, and the pay per view. But you know, you've got a couple days between each show. So but you know, at WWE, if you do Monday Night Raw and then the next night you got, say, Monday Night Raw is at Madison Square Garden. Okay, that's great. But then the next night you got a house show in Nebraska. You got to drive to that if you're not a star. I mean, they're not going to make John Cena drive, but you know, if you're a mid carder or a jobber, you're driving from Madison Square Garden to Nebraska. So that I don't know how many hours that is, but it's probably 10 hours. You've got to work out to look good. You've got to eat. You've got to sleep. You know, you probably, you know, if you were on the Madison Square Garden show, you're probably fucking hyped up. So you're gonna have trouble sleeping. So you take a muscle relaxer. Your body feels like shit. So you maybe take a couple muscle relaxers. You're still high from the adrenaline, so you gotta, you know, take a Somex to help you sleep. And then when you wake up in the morning, you got a full day. You got to practice your match. You know, they practice the matches before the show. So you got to take some Coke or, you know, some ephedrine or an upper to get you going. And then, you know, you might not have to be in another show on a Wednesday night. You know, you get the idea. It's a brutal life, and very few can last long term. I've never been locked up, Larry. Um, I mean, it's not, you know, all. Oh, I'm sorry, Larry. I didn't see this question. I'm not a huge Rush fan, so I don't care who's drumming in it. I mean, I'm curious to see the girl, you know, try and hit Neil Peart's parts. Taylor Swift on guitar. Thoughts on Hogan? I mean, that is a tough one. You know, I get asked that question a lot. You know, has a wrestling personality? He's a Mount Rushmore. I mean, everyone knows Hulk Hogan, even this generation. And Hulk Hogan hasn't been relevant in wrestling in, you know, 20 years, and people still know the name. As a person, a piece of shit. Shit husband, shit father. Um, you know, so I try not to get into their personal lives. I don't want to know their personal lives because then I feel like how I feel about Hulk Hogan. You know, Hulk Hogan was one of my favorite pro wrestlers ever. But then when you hear the phone call with his daughter where he's dropping N bombs, I'm like, I don't want to be a fan of someone like that. So, you know, will. Oh, listen. I'm sure if they picked her, she's good. I just, you know, I don't know. I I mean, Neil Peart was such an integral part of that band's sound. I don't know. I mean, they can't need the money. You know, it's like those comics who went to fucking Riyadh. They can't need the fucking money, so you wonder why they did it. You know, unless, you know, I don't know much about Geddy Lee or Alex Lifeson's personal lives, so unless they have like multiple divorces and child support up the ass, I mean, those guys probably make at least $1 million a year off royalties. But I don't know. So, and the drummer's gonna get paid shit. She's gonna be put on what's called retainer. She won't be a full member of the band. She'll get no merch cuts. It's like anyone who was in Kiss in the '80s. You got $1,000 a week, and you got to tour the world. So deal with that. It's like the drummer and the bass player in AC/DC right now. They're probably getting $5 grand a week. Now they're playing stadiums, so they might get a little more. Especially the bass player, because he's like in Jane's Addiction and a very in-demand session guy. So he might get a little more, kind of like Eric Singer and Kiss. But um, Oliver should be banned for life. I'm not. I don't get the reference. Um, Interesting. Oh, I don't think AC/DC is terrible music. I mean, I might have to agree with a 24-hour ban for you, Oliver. But you know what? We take in all freedom of expression here. I disagree with you completely. I mean, AC/DC. Listen, is it the most intricate music in terms of are there Rush drum fills? Probably not, but you're not a successful band for 50 years and play shitty music. Yeah, I respect the fact that you don't like them, but um, oh, I did not know that. How many street fights you been in? None, to be honest with you. Um, did you ever meet Dutch Mantel? You'd think I would have, but I never did. Yeah, we don't do gift code invites. Don't spam my stream, you fucking prick. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll just do the hits, Tom Sawyer and all that. So, I mean, listen, it'll sell out wherever it goes. Will it experience the level of AC/DC playing the Rose Bowl and selling it out? I don't know about that. But, I mean, Rush was never really a commercial band. Um, it is true, and I believe she was left out of the will, but she asked to be left out of the will. So they clearly did not have a great relationship. I've never been deep sea fishing. Right. You ever meet WCW legend Alex Wright? Come on, man. You ain't gonna stump me, chicken man. Earl, you're right. Looking back, Gretzky's team was stacked. I mean, it's really, if hockey ever had a version of the '70s Pittsburgh Steelers, it was definitely the '80s Oilers. I mean, once again, Yari Curry's arguably the greatest right winger of all time. You had Glenn Anderson. I'm not saying he was the greatest left winger of all time, but he's up there. You have Mark Messier, Paul Coffey. Now, I know Bobby Orr people will freak out about this, but I mean, Orr was awesome. Probably the best all time offensive defenseman, but Coffey's pretty close. And now Orr had two bad knees, too, though, so you got to factor that in. And then Grant Fuhr, probably the greatest money goaltender of all time. Mario Lemieux had none of that. So he was playing with literally Warren Young, a career minor leaguer, who all of a sudden became a 40-goal scorer because of Lemieux. Rob Brown, same thing. Gary Restline, who didn't even know how to hold the stick correctly. Jay Caulfield, who I think started skating at 15. So, it would have been interesting to see Lemieux with that kind of support system. Sandstrom's a great player. I mean, Sandstrom played in the Stanley Cup Finals with a broken leg. Well, I try and be cool. Listen to some of the trolls get me down sometimes. After the stream, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing this for? But, I realize the majority of my fans. I mean, Guy Lafleur. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely, when you sit there and talk about greatest center of all time and the greatest defenseman, it's all subjective. And what if Gretzky had Guy Lafleur, right? And Gary Curry had to? But Lafleur had some pretty good support with the Canadians. Yager, Yarmir Yager. I was called Baby Yager when I had long hair and I wore my Jofa helmet. I have a Wayne Gretzky signed game use Easton aluminum stick. Um, yeah, Guy Lafleur didn't fuck around. I mean, he did not really care about fitness. Mark Sanchez, yikes! I don't know what happened there, but we can get into it. What up? What up? Lumad. Hit the subscribe button, Lumad. I don't believe I've seen your fine name in here. Let's get to 4,100 subscribers before the night is over. And who knows when the night might be over. But someone sending me a YouTube video. The Austin comedy scene is quietly collapsing. Well, I'd like to be on Rogan's podcast nonetheless. That's a tough one, but I'm going to go with Gretzky's daughter. So Sanchez is going to write a check with a lot of zeros. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on with Mark Sanchez, but he got to lose a lot of his money. And here's the bummer. A guy like him strikes me as the type of guy who didn't really save his money. He just said, fuck it, I'll have a fat TV gig the rest of my life. Because he is good looking. He was an NFL quarterback. So he knows what he's talking about, but he might want to get into pro wrestling. Yeah, Goldberg, not a great wrestler. And do I have an OnlyFans? No, I do not. But hey, never say never. The day's been pretty good, had a fun stream earlier, and I thought I'd stream again. Sanchez will find God soon. Well, he'd better find a job that's going to pay for this lawsuit. I saw a picture of the trucker. Jesus, that guy was pretty fucked up. So that'll be interesting. I mean, I don't know what those Fox gigs. Was he a Fox guy? I mean, I'm going to assume $1 million or $2 million a year, and he ain't going to get paid that anywhere ever again. So, yikes. Mark Sanchez has to be a raging alcoholic to be acting like that at his age. I mean, that almost strikes me as drugs, too, like Molly and booze. And, I mean, someone's saying I should really look into this. The Austin comedy scene is quietly collapsing. Let me, we don't snipe here, but let's see. Let's see what this is like on the big screen here. Now, I'm not going to show you guys the thing. Of course, I'm going to know everyone in the video. The human body is amazing, Jeff. I once had no ACL for almost 12 years, and I played hockey, no problems, and okay, it's Bobby Lee talking. I think that looks like Kim Congdon. I'm not gonna watch this shit. I've been in Austin. I've done the comedy scene. I know what it's like. Oh, 100% he would have. I mean, because here's the thing about, I've met Wayne Gretzky on the putting green at Bel Air Country Club, and I towered over him. Like, it's a funny story. My dad was best friends with Don Klosterman. Now, that's probably a name that no one in the stream knows. Maybe TB might know. Of course, Don's son, Kurt, owned the original Tale of the Pup on the San Vicente. But, so my dad was a member of Bel Air Country Club, so I'm fucking around on the putting green because putting was something I was pretty good at, so I practiced it a lot. I should have probably practiced fairway shots more, but enough about my golf game. And Don Klosterman was there with Mark Messier, Wayne Gretzky, and Ken Danico. And thank you, Juan Santos. I mean, I don't think I'll be making a return visit to Austin, to be honest with you. I didn't have a great time there. Um, but, I mean, when the guy who used to park my car at the parking lot of the Comedy Store is higher up the food chain than I am at the mothership, that's when I check out. But the mothership will survive whether I ever play there again or not. Um, So wait, what happened to Shandy Girl? Oh, that's awesome, Shandy Girl. That's awesome. Shalom, 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 Shandy Girl. So I kind of got embarrassed because I knew who those three guys were, and I knew Mr. Klosterman. He was kind of loud and obnoxious, so I'm like, I'm gonna sneak off this green before he sees me, and I'm almost into the grill room, and all of a sudden I hear, Skakel, get back here, and I I meekly walk back to the putting green, and he introduces me to Ken Danico first. I said, "Hey, Mr. Danico," and I was bigger than Danico. And then I meet Mark Messier, and Messier's like I could tell he was a fun guy. He was just like, "Hey, man, what's happening, bro?" And then I met Gretzky, and Mr. Klosterman was really talking up my dad to these guys. You know, Skakel's dad killed a whale. It was on the cover of Life magazine, and blah blah blah. And I think I might have the autograph I got from. Let's see if the light catches it here. It is dark in my kitchen, but I'm pretty sure yes, there it is. That is on Bel Air Country Club stationery. Hi, Earl. Don't mess around. Mark Messier. So just so you know, that story's not bullshit. There's a Bel Air Country Club stationery. Hi, Earl. Don't mess around. Mark Messier. So, you see my dirty kitchen counter. Look, there's RoboCop's booty. You never see RoboCop's ass. So, there you go. It's just a fun story. I mean, they were all three really cool. But Don Klosterman was like the godfather of LA sports scene. I mean, he like ruled Bel Air Country Club. So if Don Klosterman probably whispered to these guys before I got to them, be nice to this fucking guy. His dad's in the mob, or something like that. So, you, Santino, and my brothers KB and Neil should go golfing. I mean, I haven't golfed, as you know, Chicken Man, since my clubs were stolen at Mountain Gate Country Club. But I have really good muscle memory, so I think that I could pick up the game fairly fast. Aside from Lois, what's your most prized possession? I mean, if you're asking me, if my God, I don't even like saying this, but if my house is on fire, I've got time to pick up one thing other than Lois. Well, I would have said my mom's T-shirt she gave me. My mom gave me a New York Knicks T-shirt that she wrote a note on it. It's just a shitty T-shirt, It's just like it was like from the mid '90s. I think it had their conference winning years on the shirt with the New York Knicks logo. But because my mom gave me that shirt, it is really the last thing I remember her by. Because toward the end of my mom's life, she was kind of hiding from me because she was very sick and she didn't want me to see her that way. So that T-shirt meant the world to me. And I remember having this conversation with my ex-fiance at the time where we were like, hey, if God forbid, we got to get out of here and we can only take one thing, what would you take? And she had mentioned a coat her mom gave her or something. And I said, that T-shirt. And mysteriously, when my ex moved out, she took that T-shirt. And she knew what that shirt meant to me. So, total bitch move. You could have the wedding ring. That's fine. But, what are you going to do? So, being that shirt's not an option, I would say a watch my mom gave me. So, I mean, well, the funny thing is, all the nice things I have in this place, I've got, and you guys know me by now. It is shitty, to be honest with you. And have you guys ever heard me say a bad word about her? And I'm probably in a pretty good position to say a bad word about her. I've never said a bad word about her, but that was a cunt move because she knew what that shirt meant. And I had someone come up to me recently and go, "What, well, bro? What if she didn't take it on purpose? She knew what that shirt meant to me. She should have mailed it back." Um, 100%, it is evil. But that's fine. Her life has not exactly worked out since the breakup. Anyway, be honest. Do you miss your roast battle, Jack? Well, that's a great story. The Chicken Man knows. So I will say this about Comedy Central. When we got to Montreal, when we got to our hotel room, there was a lovely gift basket. And you got, all this candy and whatever, a very nice written note. And you got a hoodie with your name on it. You got a pair of boxing shorts with your name on it. And when I got back, I was so angry at Jeff Ross, that piece of shit, that I literally gave my hoodie to a homeless guy. And here's the funniest part, because it was cold one night. He was shivering. I had the hoodie on, because it wasn't nice. It was just like a basic hoodie, but it was warm. So I gave my hoodie to the homeless guy who was shivering. And the next night I'm walking by, and the guy's taking a shit, wiping his ass, right with the Jeff Ross Presents on the back logo. So that made me feel good. Will we ever find out? No, we don't want to know who the Chicken Man is. I don't want to know who the Chicken Man is. Chicken Man, I've often tried to kind of guess who. Oh, thank you, Jay. I've often tried to kind of guess who. Well, thank you, Gordon. I think who the Chicken Man is. They are deep cut references. Anyone who knows who Kenny Tinney was at the Comedy Store is a deep, 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 deep cut reference. So, but I don't want to know. It's like when Chad Zumach told me that he was the Jan Michael Vincent character on Twitter. There was a fake Jan Michael Vincent account that was so funny to me because they really, if you know who Jan Michael Vincent was, he was like my generation's Brad Pitt. He really nailed the persona. But then one night when Chad came up to me at the Comedy Store and said, "Hey, just so you know, I'm Jan Michael Vincent," it ruined the account forever. It was still funny, but it wasn't as funny. How long have you lived alone? 3 years. The Chicken Man. No, Kenny Tenney was not funny. The Chicken Man is funny. So, world's greatest athlete. Are you asking me, TV, who I think the world's greatest athlete is? I mean, that's a tough one because do you go individual athlete or team sports athlete? I mean, team sports athlete, I will say this right now, and I realize what I'm saying. Connor McDavid is the best hockey player I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen Gretzky, Lemieux, Yager, Messier. He's like watching a video game. So if you're talking, Michael Phelps was in the discussion, Mark Spitz, Bruce Jenner, or Kate, you know what I mean. Bruce Jenner was so good. He was beating black dudes in track. So, I don't know if Walter Payton was the world's greatest athlete. I would say he's one of the greatest running backs of all time. Jim Belushi would not be in the discussion for world's greatest athlete, although he was good in the movie Thief. And Strictly Business is a underrated, funny movie. Everyone welcome Buddhist priest in the house. Super Dave Osborne. No, Rex Kramer, the world's most dangerous stuntman. That was a great individual athlete. I have met Shaq, and he's very tall. He's big too. He's not like muscle big. He's just big. I mean, Bo Jackson was um, probably the well. I mean, before Shohei Ohtani. Yeah, I mean not Shohei Ohtani. I mean, one of them. Bo Jackson in his prime probably was the best two-sport athlete. Um, and so that was. I mean, Jim Thorpe was a great athlete, but could Jim Thorpe beat Usain Bolt in a 100-yard dash? Probably not. There you get into prime versus prime. Like I don't think Babe Ruth would be a good baseball player in this era. Fat, lazy, but just a great hitter. But how would he? Like, could he have hit that kid's 104-mile-an-hour fastball? The guy from San Diego? I don't know. Um, and Babe Ruth didn't have to play against black players, to be honest with you. So, I mean, he had, um, that advantage, to be honest with you. I love Jerry West, but I don't know if Kyler Murray is the greatest athlete. But, other great athletes, well, look at Ronaldo Nehemiah. I mean, he was one of the fastest humans ever, not a great football player. Um, so, we don't do the Jesus stuff in here, man. You're going to have to go to Pat Dixon's stream for that. Are you a Dodger fan? I don't really like baseball that much, to be honest with you. So, not necessarily. I'm a hockey guy. Trying to think other great individual, I mean, Edward Moses. I mean, Muhammad Ali in his prime. Trying to think. Yes, that sound of coffee was a doggy. My dog has a collapsed trachea. Our greatest two-sport athletes? I mean, probably Bo Jackson, in his prime. Injuries. I mean, he probably should have quit playing football earlier and just concentrate on baseball. But I mean, his hip exploded from the stress of football. But if he would have just played baseball, he could have been a very he would have had a much longer career just if he played baseball. It's kind of like Ohtani not really pitching anymore because of the stress on his arm. He's going to have a much longer career, whereas if he played pitcher and hitter, he'd probably burn out faster. So, greatest comedy store athlete, Richie. I mean, boy, I don't know about that. I mean, the greatest comedy store athlete. Well, I mean, Wilt Chamberlain was great because he was bigger than everybody. I mean, he faced very little competition outside of Bill Russell. It would be interesting to see Wilt Chamberlain play against guys his size, but back then there were no guys his size. So, I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was unstoppable in his prime. I mean, it's so hard. I mean, I would say the best team sport athletes. I mean, Gretzky put up numbers that, I mean, pretty unbelievable. I mean, when Gretzky came into the league, I think the best player in the league at that time was probably Marcel Dion. Now, Marcel Dion was, averaging 100 points a season. And then I think his first year in the league, he tied with Dion, 127 points. But they gave the scoring title to Dion because he had more goals. And then Gretzky just started getting 140, 150, 160. And at some point, he had over 200 points several seasons in a row. I mean, he basically doubled what the best player in the league was doing. I mean, it's good. I mean, Jordan has to be into consideration for sure for that, mean, it's, thank you, M.A. White. I try and do a good job. We get a few idiots in here trying to ruin the stream, but, you're never going to ruin the stream by me because none of you are as quick as I am. So, and you're not even original, to be honest with you. It's the same shit. You're gay, you're a pedophile, you're old, blah, 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 blah. I got 1,000 rebuttals for every one of them. So, Wilt would dominate. I disagree, Moonroof. I don't think he would dominate any era. He would not dominate Shaq. He wouldn't. He would not dominate. I mean, the average size center in Wilt's era, I would say, was probably 6'7", 6'6". I mean, a guy like Wes Unseld, who was my favorite player as a kid, but Wes Unseld was like 6'6", 240. That's a shooting guard now. So yeah, a lot of Piazzas in the chat tonight, but they just don't get it. It's just not. They just don't get it. They don't get what this stream is about. So here's what I'm going to do. And, you guys know I do this. I do it almost every stream. We're going to go to who's live right now so I can direct some of the losers in the stream to other. I know Pat Dixon's live, so check out Pat Dixon. He's a friend of the show. I mean, we don't talk a lot, but I consider Pat a friend. So someone is really wanting me to watch this. Austin scene is exploding. Let's see. I hope I can't get in trouble for this. All right. We break the rules from time to time in the Earlverse. I do like Pepsi more than Coke, to be honest with you. I don't know. There's just something about the taste. Shane, you got to be funnier than that. Okay, here we go.
Around you for the first time.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a little trust that I'm in this circle.
Here we go. Let's talk about this real quick. Okay. I'm not with that. What you guys are doing in Austin.
What do you mean?
Well, let's be real. I don't like some of the words you guys use freely.
Like what?
It's like edgelord. It's like
not all of it.
I know, but it's becoming so hacky to me that 100%. People you guys use these words just for the shock factor.
100%.
Like I'm not into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think the R word sometimes, but I would never say the N word in any environment.
Okay.
On March 7th, 2023, Joe Rogan officially made the comedy mothership open to the public, which started an epic comedy bull run in Austin, Texas. And all of Joe Rogan's comedy pals moved to Austin in hopes of capitalizing on the gravitational
Thank you,
pull
Steve.
of the Rogan sphere.
Hit the subscribe button, please.
Absolutely did. Like, for a long time, there was no other city in the United States whose comedy scene was growing faster. And even though it was immediately slapped with the anti-woke label, it was never as controversial to perform there as it is now. Because over the past few months or so, the Austin comedy scene's reputation has taken a hit so bad that honestly it feels like it's been rug pulled past the point of no return. And now it's almost trendy to recognize that style of comedy there is in fact hack. Mark Maron, Dan Soder, Anthony Jeselnik, and even Bobby Lee, as you saw in the opening clip there, have all spoken publicly about how the comedy in Austin is a disgrace, which I'm sure you're aware of by now, as those clips have been circling all corners of the internet. So what I wanted to cover...
William Montgomery needing notes to do 1 minute of material is insane to me.
This video today are first-hand stories from the green room of the mothership that smaller comedians and internet figures have leaked online. Because these are stories told by people who genuinely try to be a part of the Austin comedy scene, but had such a bad experience that they had to speak out about it. For example, this smaller comedian named Mark Pugh moved to Austin a while back in hopes of growing his name, but just recently moved away because the other comics there wouldn't stop bringing up his race whenever they were around him.
I personally don't want to be the only black person around a bunch of white people, and the only thing y'all saying to me is some shit about how I'm black. Like, I dead ass don't want to be around that shit. Because when I'm around, if I'm around the only white person, I'm not gonna be like, hey, you white. That's some white people shit. I don't do that in conversation. We might do that shit on stage, maybe. But even then, bro, let's have better shit to say on stage. There's a lot of people that don't know when to stop trying to be a clown, trying to out funny each other, and don't none of it be funny. I don't want to hear 50 white guys come up to me and almost say the N word. It's like 50 white people come to you and say, "What's up, my ninja?" I don't want to hear that shit. Just almost saying the N word or trying to say it. Let's talk about something else.
And honestly, this clip tells you just about everything you need to know about the so-called comedy mecca in Austin. A brand new comic moves there chasing the dream, only to end up leaving because every conversation with other comics boiled down to, "Hey bro, you're black." Haha. Get it? Like, it is the absolute cheapest, laziest way to get a laugh. And the fact that it happened enough times for this guy to finally move cities just speaks volumes to why Austin comedy is seeing a decline recently. Like, the mothership is an echo chamber where the only thing comedians know how to do is tiptoe around slurs. Because in Austin, offensive equal funny, I guess. No wonder the whole scene already feels like it's collapsing under its own hype. Another thing that points to the mothership's downfall is that the biggest names there, like Joe Rogan, Tony Hinchcliffe, and even Shane Gillis, are some of the most sensitive comedians imaginable, which is sort of ironic. Like, a huge part of their jobs revolve around roasting, but as soon as someone says something that they don't like, they get all butthurt about it and kick them out of the club. So much so that Joe Rogan has his ex-Navy SEAL bodyguards lock up your cell phone before entering the club. I mean, Joe Rogan's so paranoid about this that he even kicked out Andrew Callaghan from the green room on accident, just because someone mentioned that Andrew was a journalist, which is a really broad definition and doesn't really do Andrew Callaghan's channel justice. Joe Rogan even knew who Callaghan was, but without even looking his way, he had his royal bodyguards escort the guy out of the green room out of fear that he'd tape what was going down there.
Why haven't you been on the Joe Rogan Experience? Well, there could be two reasons for that. One, which is probably most likely, is that I'm not popular, famous, and influential enough to be on JRE. Two, could be related to a little green room spat that I had with Mr. Joe Rogan at his comedy club in Austin, Texas. So I'm not even a Joe Rogan hater, and I thought the mothership was actually pretty tight, especially how they lock your phones up in these magnetically sealed plastic sleeves when you enter the door. It definitely brings the anxiety levels down and makes it so comedians can push the envelope a bit more with their material. So it keeps comedy and experimentation alive without the fear of cancel culture. I was in Austin doing
Thank you,
podcasts.
ACDC.
The first podcast was Lex Friedman. And then the following day after that, I did the Matt and Shane Secret podcast. And unfortunately, Matt was out of town, but the homie Lemaire Lee, shout out to my boy, was there replacing Matt for that day. So that night after the podcast, Shane had a set at the Mothership Comedy Club. So he invited me, and in between sets, I'm chilling at the bar downstairs, and I'm getting like lightweight blown up by fans, which is fine. You know, I love fans. It was chill, but I was kind of like in a more relaxed headspace. I wanted to just doze off, you know, listen to comedy, chill. And so I told Lemaire, I'm like, yo.
Well, here's the thing with that guy who just 86. You know, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Be funny. And we'll all play with you in here. But the guy's just saying you're gay, you're gay, you're gay. Like, do you think you're the first guy to come into my stream and go, you're gay, you're gay, you're gay? Just be funny. That's all I ask.
I go upstairs to the green room. I'm trying to, you know, kick back and, you know, lay low for a bit. He's like, man, I can take you there, but just so you know, Joe Rogan's a bit territorial about that green room. Like, so it's at your own risk. And I'm like, dude, no way, it's going to be fine. Joe Rogan's reacted to like 7 of my videos because Jamie always plays them.
I don't know, Peter.
So me and Lemaire take the elevator up to the secret green room at the mothership. There's 5 comedians in there, all in their mid-20s. Everybody recognizes me except for Joe Rogan. So everybody's dapping me up. Lemaire says, hey, Joe, it's my homie Andrew. Shake Joe Rogan's hand. I put some popcorn in the microwave, which I felt like was establishing myself as a member of the green room. And then I turn around and I see Joe Rogan like yelling at the security guard. And he's yelling, who let this fucking journalist in here? Kick him the fuck out. I can hear Joe saying this. I guess somebody told him that I was like a journalist, so he maybe thought that I was a Daily Beast reporter that had snaked my way into his safe space to ask him about ivermectin, which is a valid concern. So before I could even get kicked out, I was like, Lemaire, I gotta get out of here. And I walked down the stairs and went back into general population.
So when you hear a story like this, it doesn't really feel like a healthy comedy scene. It feels insecure, culty, and way too fragile. Like Andrew wasn't even trying to start anything. He was just there as a guest, laying low and eating some popcorn. But
Lois
Rogan
is doing better,
immediately had
thank
a
you.
panic attack as if Andrew was some undercover TMZ reporter trying to expose him. That's where the scene is at now. The comedy club is like a gated community where Joe Rogan is the landlord and everyone else is just trying to not get evicted. The environment is way too fragile, and as a result, its reputation has taken a real beating as of late. And trust me, they know exactly what kind of image they're portraying with all the right-wing buzzword jokes and all the anti-woke talking points, especially Shane Gillis. Like just the other day, apparently Shane Gillis was on stage with Joe Rogan, doing like a duo stand-up comedy sort of thing, and as soon as Joe Rogan started saying his trans jokes, apparently Shane stopped him and was like, "What's so funny about that?" Which made Joe Rogan repeat the joke, making Shane ask him what's so funny about it again, which would have been just amazing to witness in real life. So Shane Gillis, who's by far the biggest regular at the mothership, really stood up to Lord Joe Rogan while on stage, which kind of points to how conscious he is of the Austin comedy image and is trying to put out the flames for the sake of his reputation as well. So I commend Shane for doing stuff like that and turning down the Saudi Arabian Blood Money Festival, but don't get me wrong. Shane's not entirely innocent in this whole Austin comedy disgrace here, okay? Like, sure, he's by far funnier than names like Rogan and Hinchcliffe and David Lucas, but at the end of the day, he lives there full time. He performs there weekly, and he's buddy-buddy with the hackmen in the green room after their performances. And so a lot of people online speculate that behind the scenes, he is no different than the guys he hangs out with. And recently, a guy named Brian McCarthy kind of confirmed this on his podcast, as according to him, he actually got into a little verbal argument with Shane Gillis backstage at the mothership. And so, to preface this story, just know that McCarthy and Shane had a minor beef about 6 years ago, and McCarthy thought it wasn't even major enough for Shane to remember it. So, before heading into the mothership green room and seeing Shane for the first time since then, McCarthy was actually asking Shane's friends if he'd even remember something that small. And according to Shane's friends, he's got a bit of a reputation among comics in Austin for being super thin-skinned and kind of dramatic whenever he's dealing with other stand-up comedians. Also, obviously take this guy's story with a grain of salt.
So my point is that when I was talking to this person,
Yes, you are.
I said, I know Shane lives down there, and I know that he's friends with Kurt. Now I wasn't like nervous about seeing Shane or any of that. I don't give a fuck. But the person asked me. I said, I wonder if I run into this guy. I wonder if he's even gonna remember. And this person, who is pretty tied into this group of people, this person said, yeah, Shane is, and Shane, this is the reputation you have. They said he is very thin-skinned, and I would almost guarantee that he will remember this.
So this is where things get real juicy, because according to McCarthy, Shane confronted him with Tony Hinchcliffe about this tiny little thing that happened 6 years ago, making a huge scene about it in front of everyone at Mitzi's bar, which is a bar in the comedy mothership. And of course, Shane had every right to confront him about this, but being that this beef was so tiny and 6 years old, it's just sort of funny that Shane would hold on to something like this, especially after having this huge career since then. But to be fair, I also think it's pretty cowardly of Brian McCarthy to air something private like this out to the public, but it sure does make for some good content.
So I go into the Mitzi bar thing. I go on with Kurt. I see Joe. I said, hey.
We don't do links in here.
Pretended like I watched the hour. Right. So great, fine. So I'm talking to Joe, and then Shane comes in. Okay, Shane's about 6'3", maybe something like that, 6'4", maybe. Big guy, little mustache, but big guy, and kind of comes in, goes right over to Joe, says to Joe, hey, and he gives him kind of a hug. I mean, they're clearly good friends. And then Joe says to Shane, I want to introduce you to Brian. He's a good friend of mine from New York. And Shane immediately goes, I know who you are. You said a bunch of shit about me on your show, and then you tweeted it. So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this.
Yeah,
so
confrontation.
So I said to Shane, I said, well, not really. I said a bunch of shit about you, but I never tweeted it. I don't really tweet. I said, but I did say a bunch of shit about you. So Shane is standing there, and he's not aggressive, but he's visibly annoyed. So this guy Tony comes over, right? Tony stands next to Shane, and the image that popped in my head is, you ever see A Christmas Story with the leg and everything?
Sure.
Do you remember the one bully that had the coonskin cap And
Scott Farkas.
yeah, very good. And then the little guy with the little derby hat. He goes, "You're gonna cry, little baby, you're gonna cry." So I looked at Tony and I was like, "Wow, he reminds me of the little bully from."
Yeah.
I don't have the money, bro.
Nobody was bullying me, but they were standing there. And Tony says, like, "Oh, hey," he came over to say hi to Shane. And he goes, hey, Shane, what's going on? And then Shane, like, literally, and we're all standing within like 5 feet of each other. This bar is not big, and we're all in a pretty tight space right at the bar. So Shane's like kind of motions to me. I'm right across from him, and he goes, "Yeah, this guy said a bunch of shit about me, and then he tweeted it, and I interrupted him again. I said, I never tweeted. I said the shit, but I didn't tweet."
Right.
And he's like, "Well, he said a bunch of shit about me." So I just said, I attempted just to put it to bed sort of immediately.
Right.
And I said, "Listen, this is how I remember it. You came on the show about 6 years
Well, it ain't gonna be on this
ago.
stream.
I thought that you were a member of the audience. You came in, you were actually the guest on the show. I didn't realize that. You were visibly annoyed that I didn't know that you were, the guest on the show. And then we had this show, and again, I was drinking, sure, fine, whatever, that's fine. And then that night, we did a show at the New York Comedy Club, and somehow I ended up hosting it. I still don't know how that worked out. And I called you Sean Gillis, and you were annoyed by that too. So I'm like talking, and then I'm kind of like, and Joe's standing there kind of with his hand in his head,
Right.
and he goes like, and he's like, it was like Michael apologizing for Fredo, So I just decide I'm going to extricate myself from this area.
So right off the bat, Shane sees him and confronts him about something pretty small that Brian said about Shane 6 years ago, which to some people is applaudable as Shane was addressing it head on as soon as he saw this guy. But at the same time, it's a little bit petty, no? I mean, who even is this guy? Like, if you're Shane Gillis, why even waste your breath on someone like him, who would jump at the opportunity to be in a beef with the Shane Gillis online, right? But according to him, after ending the convo, apparently Shane went to the bar and started talking shit about the guy to all his pals. And so as you'll hear shortly, when Brian McCarthy went to the bar, Shane escalated the argument and was shouting across the bar, demanding that McCarthy apologize for what he did all the way back in 2019, which, if true, just gives me the impression that Shane's acting a little like Joe Rogan was with Andrew Callaghan.
So I go to the bar, and I'm waiting for the bartender to pay attention. And Shane is at the bar, like 3 people down from me.
I
So
agree
I'm
with you,
waiting,
Herman.
And Shane is clearly telling these guys about me or saying
Sure.
something about
This
me.
fucking guy.
And then Shane looks over at me, and he does that De Niro thing with his fingers. And he goes, "You know what you did. You know what you did," with his fingers. So I take my fingers out, and I do it back. And I went, "I'm in your head. I'm in your head. You know I'm in your head. I don't know why, but I'm in your head. I don't know why. I'm in your head. I'm in your head." And so the redhead guy, like, says to Shane, like, "What is going on with, like, you and this guy? Like, what is this?"
They're like,
And now this is where our evening could have, this
was the fork in the road.
exactly right. Because Shane says, that guy said a bunch of shit about me on his podcast. And he's being a pussy. And this is what, Shane, you're going to hear this maybe. This is what you said, so whatever. He goes, and he's being a pussy, and he won't apologize.
Oof.
So he didn't call me a pussy, but he called me a pussy. To a certain extent.
You're being a pussy.
I'm being a pussy.
Displaying.
He didn't say this pussy. So there is a little bit of a semantics there.
Yeah.
And again, by the way, I'm not even worked up about any of this. I'm just kind of like, dude, whatever, man.
Yeah, this was 6 years ago.
Yeah. So I say to him, I said, "Listen, if I was a pussy, I would apologize to you. But I'm not apologizing to you.
Right.
What I will say to you is, I will say a non-apology. I'm sorry that I am making you so upset. And that's as good as it's going to get." I said, "That's it. I'm sorry that for some reason I'm making you so upset." And he's looking at me, and I said, and then the drink came back, and I said, I said, bartender, I said, "Thank you." And I just walked away. And I go back to the girl.
So yeah, just a pretty heated argument coming right out of the Austin comedy mothership. And of course, I am torn on whether this guy's story is true or not, because honestly, he could just be using Shane's name for clout. But if this were true, I think it's a pretty good example of the environment that some of the biggest names have cultivated at the mothership over the years. Like, they love the drama and the gossip. despite saying that they don't read the comments and that they're all a happy brotherhood. But don't get me wrong, I am not on this guy's side whatsoever. But do let me know what you guys think of that little spat and the current trajectory of the Austin comedy scene. And with that being said, thanks so much for watching.
Okay, well, that wasn't that good. But, there you go. So, I've been in the mothership green room. I was treated good because I think Joe and Tony respect me as comics. But I could definitely see an outsider coming in and people tightening up. So does Lois avoid the limelight, or is she a typical West Hollywood? No, Lois is, she's on the DL. She's on the DL. And I don't mean DL Hughley. She is the best dog in the world. So before I end the stream, let's see who's live now. So you guys, Pat Dixon is live right now. So you can go to Pat's stream, and he's about all that's live from the Dabbleverse. And before we go, please hit the like and subscribe button. View botting, so obvious. Listen, if I was botting views, I would absolutely have more than 23 people in here. I don't know. I think the mothership, the vibe I got there was some like Brian McCarthy would be, looked at as almost like this guy's a mole for somebody. So, he's not known in the comedy community, to be honest. So I could see like Hinchcliffe and Joe and some of the underlings at the mothership going, who the fuck is this clown? But I don't know. So I have no bots in this stream. If I had bots, I'd have a couple hundred people in here. And I don't want bots. I'm trying to get a fucking more known in the whatever world, streaming or comedy world. Why would I want a bot? Listen, would I go back to the mothership? Yeah, I probably would. But would I claw my way to get there? Probably not. Listen, they don't need me. So if I said right now, oh, fuck the mothership, I'm never going back there again, their lives don't change at all. And mine doesn't either. But, Joe treated me nice. It wasn't so much Joe that makes it awkward. It was the people around Joe who make it awkward, where they're very like alpha males, or at least they think they are. And they're kind of like, oh, Skakel's coming there now. It's like, I went there once. I got on Brian Holtzman's show. To be honest with you, I probably had the best set. So I'm sure some of the Austin comics on the show didn't like that. But, they treated me nice too. So how long do you have to not do stand-up to be considered? I don't know. Fred Stoller just quit. I would say a year or so. But, I don't know. That's an interesting question. I don't know if I have a correct answer for you on that one. But I don't know anything about Brian McCarthy, to be frank. So, I know he's the guy from Burning Bridges with Kevin, but I never watched that show. So, yeah, I definitely have a bitch wife. All right, you guys. Thank you guys. We hit the 80-minute mark. I do appreciate you guys very much. I know you have many streaming options. I appreciate being one of them. And, come back tomorrow. Now, tomorrow I have my hockey game at night, so I don't know when I'll be streaming. Probably in the afternoon, maybe when MLC ends or whatever. So that is all. Earl Skakel, over and out.